The Hulk is a superhero appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. Created by writer Stan Lee and artist Jack Kirby. The character first appeared in the debut issue of The Incredible Hulk, May 1962. In his comic book appearances, the character, who has dissociative identity disorder, DID, is primarily represented by the alter ego Hulk, an immense, green-skinned, hulking brute, possessing a limitless degree of physical strength, and the alter ego Dr. Robert Bruce Banner, a physically weak, socially withdrawn, and emotionally reserved physicist, both of whom typically resent each other. Lee stated that the Hulk's creation was inspired by a combination of Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Following his accidental exposure to gamma rays while saving the life of Rick Jones during the detonation of an experimental bomb, Banner is physically transformed into the Hulk when subjected to emotional stress, at or against his will. This transformation often leads to destructive rampages and conflicts that complicate Banner's civilian life. The Hulk's level of strength is usually conveyed proportionate to his anger level. The Incredible Hulk is an American television series based on the Marvel Comics character the Hulk. The series aired on the CBS television network and starred Bill Bixby as Dr. David Banner, Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk, and Jack Colvin as Jack McGee. The series' 2-hour television pilot movie, which established the Hulk's origins, aired on November 4, 1977. The series' 80 episodes were originally broadcast by CBS over 5 seasons from 1978 to 1982. It was developed and produced by Kenneth Johnson, who also wrote or directed some episodes. Bill Bixby as Dr. David Bruce Banner, MD, is a physician and scientist employed at California's Culver Institute. Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk, a huge, green monster humanoid that David turns into when angered or stressed, following an accidental overdose of gamma radiation that altered his cells. The effect of Banner transforming into the Hulk was created by editing together 5 stages. 1. Bill Bixby as normal. 2. Bixby wearing green contact lenses. 3. Bixby wearing green makeup and a forehead prosthetic, in addition to the contact lenses. 4. Bixby with green hair dye and a darker shade of green makeup. And 5. Lou Ferrigno in full makeup. Initially, the Hulk's facial makeup was quite monstrous, but after both pilots, the first 2 weekly episodes and New York location shooting for the 4th, the design was toned down. The makeup process used to transform Ferrigno into the Hulk took 3 hours, and Bixby's stage 4 makeup alone took 2 hours to apply. The hard contact lenses Ferrigno wore to simulate the Hulk's electric green eyes had to be removed every 15 minutes because he found wearing them physically painful. The green fright wig he wore as the Hulk was made of dyed yak hair. Television films. 2 episodes of the series appeared first as standalone television films, but these were later re-edited into 1-hour length, 2-parters, for broadcast syndication. They were produced as pilots before the series officially began in 1978. The Incredible Hulk, 1977, distributed in theaters in some countries. The Return of the Incredible Hulk, 1977. Also shown overseas as a feature film, retitled Death in the Family for syndication. A retrospective on the TV series reported that the episodes that fans of the show most often cited as the best of the series are The Incredible Hulk, Pilot, Married, Mystery Man, Homecoming, The Snare, Prometheus, The First, and Bring Me the Head of the Hulk. In an uncredited role, the bodybuilder and professional wrestler Rick Dressen as the half-transformed Hulk in Prometheus, Parts 1 and 2. The opening narration was provided by actor Ted Cassidy, who also provided the Hulk's voiceovers, mainly growls and roars, during the first 2 seasons. Cassidy died during the production of Season 2 in January 1979. The Hulk's vocalizations for the remainder of the series were provided by actor Charles Napier, who also made 2 guest starring appearances in the series. To create a Hulk's voice, it having human voice and lowering in pitch. In the episode, The Slam, and My Favorite Magician, of Season 3, Marcel Buchanan voiced the Hulk. The Incredible Hulk Returns is a 1988 American television superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character the Hulk, and serves as a continuation of the 1978 to 1982 television series, The Incredible Hulk. The film premiered on NBC on May 22, 1988. Directed by Nicholas J. Correa. This film is the first time another character from the Marvel Universe or any genuinely supernatural or otherworldly elements appeared in the universe of the Incredible Hulk TV series. Thor and the Hulk next appeared on screen together in 2012's The Avengers. This is the first telemovie with Lou Ferrigno voicing the Hulk himself. Lou Ferrigno extensively trained to regain the muscle mass required for him to credibly portray the Hulk, putting on 45 pounds in 3 months. The Trial of the Incredible Hulk is a 1989 American television superhero film based on the 1978 to 1982 television series, The Incredible Hulk, featuring both the Hulk and fellow Marvel Comics character, Daredevil, who team up to defeat Wilson Fisk. Stan Lee, co-creator of the Hulk, makes a cameo appearance as the jury foreman in the dream sequence. He was replaced by a stunt double for the shot where the Hulk upends the jury box, which was actually lifted by hydraulic machinery, at director Bill Bixby's insistence. Lee recalled being disappointed at this, as he was excited to jump off the jury box and did not think it was significantly dangerous, since the jury box was just a couple feet above the ground. To create a Hulk's distortion voice, it having human voice and combining lower pitched. The Death of the Incredible Hulk is a 1990 American television superhero film, the last of 3 films based on the 1978 to 1982 television series The Incredible Hulk. Bill Bixby reprises his role as Dr. David Banner and Lou Ferrigno returns to play the Hulk. It was filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. A script was written for a sequel television film, The Revenge of the Incredible Hulk, which would resurrect the character, but it was cancelled. Bill Bixby as Dr. David Banner, a talented scientist and physician seeking to reverse a radiation treatment that causes him to transform into the Hulk when he becomes angry. Lou Ferrigno as Hulk, a primal and superhumanly strong creature. To create a Hulk's distortion voice, it having human voice and combining lower pitched. To create a Hulk's distortion voice, it having human voice and combining lower pitched, similar to previous one, but high human voice. Hulk, also known as the Hulk, is a 2003 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character of the same name, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Produced by Universal Pictures in association with Marvel Enterprises, Valhalla Motion Pictures, and Good Machine, and distributed by Universal, it was directed by Ang Lee and written by John Turman, James Scamus, and Michael France, from a story conceived by Scamus. Eric Banner as Bruce Banner, Hulk, a gamma radiation research scientist. After exposure to elevated gamma radiation levels, he becomes an enormous, green monster, humanoid and muscular when enraged or agitated, and also has the ability to grow larger in size and become stronger when angered in his Hulk form. The CGI Hulk had realistic textures, showcasing veins and muscle definition, and he often appeared with disheveled hair and a primal expression. They had cast Eric Bana as the lead, says Mann. We had to come up with reference art that showed how he transforms into the Hulk, how the Hulk moves, his hair and makeup, his clothes, his muscles, and how he interacts with the environment. Mann's cubicle walls are papered with color prints and sketches of Hulk's facial expressions, of Hulk in the desert with sand on his back, of Hulk's internal conflict, and more, many of which were painted in Adobe Systems Photoshop. On his desk is a stack of paper 3 inches deep. This is last month's art, he says, and does a quick calculation. He estimates that the 2 art directors and their team of 8 artists have created more than 5,000 pieces of concept art. How did this concept art become a huge, fully realized CG character? 1 pixel at a time. On the monitor in compositing supervisor Marshall Krasser's office, Hulk's face glares out at passersby, a face so big it doesn't fit on the screen. It's going to be this big on the movie screen, and it's the worst-case scenario, Krasser says, describing a scene in which the camera cuts from a close-up of a real actor to the digital actor. When Banner transforms into the Hulk, his body grows, his skin expands to accommodate the muscles bulging underneath, and he turns green. Finally, to put the photo in photoreal, Krasser wrote a plugin for ILM's comp time compositing program that softened hard CG lines around Hulk's eyes, nose, and other areas without affecting the general sharpness of his skin by displacing pixels in these edges. That diffusion made it seem more photographic, he says. Meanwhile, to give Hulk hair and help keep his short hair from looking like a wig hat, sequence supervisor Pat Conran led a team that rewrote ILM's fur generator so that tufts and wisps of hair could be animated against the general hair movement. They also added peach fuzz, stubble, and other body hair to Hulk's skin. Michael and David Cronenberg as young Bruce Banner, Mike Irwin as teenage Bruce Banner, Ang Lee provided the motion capture and voice acting of Hulk. To create a Hulk's distortion voice, it having human voice and combining lower pitched. To create a Hulk's roars and growls, it having scream rougher human voice and combining with lion's roars and growls sound. The Incredible Hulk is a 2008 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character the Hulk. Produced by Marvel Studios and Valhalla Motion Pictures, and distributed by Universal Pictures, it is the second film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. It was directed by Louis Leterrier from a screenplay by Zach Penn, and stars Edward Norton as Bruce Banner alongside Liv Tyler, Tim Roth, William Hurt, Tim Blake Nelson, Ty Burrell, and Christina Cabot. Edward Norton as Bruce Banner, a nuclear physicist and biochemist at Culver University who, because of exposure to gamma radiation, transforms into an enormous green humanoid monster when enraged or agitated. His eyes were a huge focus because we needed the audience to be able to read his emotions and see Banner's inner struggle through expression. Louis wanted Hulk to look lean and mean. Not an ounce of body fat. Ropey, striated muscles and a lot of subsurface detail in the skin were also on the wish list. And no purple stretchy pants. The level of detail required on these characters was extreme. A core group of modelers, texture painters, lighters and riggers worked for over a year to create every pore, muscle striation and speck of dirt and sweat on both characters. All of the detail had to be dynamic as well, with the blood pumping and flushing through his skin, and every muscle and wrinkle able to organically come and go. The skin textures, as well as muscle flex and vascular details, proved to have a profound overall effect on the feel of Hulk in a scene. The scene posed a particular conceptual challenge. The character's pants must remain partly intact. although the rest of the clothes are ripped apart. It was the hardest thing in a way to face. Because it's a jump in logic, Williams acknowledges. Hulk's medium-length hair was modeled on Mike Deodato's art. He originally had a crew cut, but Leterrier decided flopping hair imbued him with more character. Leterrier cited an American werewolf in London as the inspiration for Banner's transformation, wanting to show how painful it was for him to change. As a nod to the live-action TV series, Banner's eyes change color first when he transforms. Lou Ferrigno voices the Hulk. During the 2008 New York Comic-Con, Leterrier publicly offered Ferrigno the role. This marks the third time Ferrigno portrayed the Hulk, having also voiced the character in the 1996-97 animated series. Originally, the Hulk's only line was "Betty" at the film's ending, which would have been his first word. Leterrier was aware that fans wanted him to speak normally and added, "Leave me alone," and "Hulk smash." The latter line received cheers during a screening Leterrier attended. Ferrigno also has a cameo appearance in the film as a security guard who is bribed by Banner with a pizza. To create a Hulk's voice, it having human voice and lowering in pitch. J.B. Blanc, J.D. Hall, Fred Tatasciore, and Jonathan Lipo all provided voice work for Hulk's roaring and growling in The Incredible Hulk, though none of them were credited. To create a Hulk's roars and growls, it having human voice, lowering in the pitch and mixing with any animal's roars and growls. It used by King Kong's roars in 2005's game. The Avengers is a 2012 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superhero team of the same name. Produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, it is the sixth film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. Written and directed by Joss Whedon. Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, Hulk, a genius scientist who, due to exposure to gamma radiation, transforms into a monster when enraged or agitated. His body is wrestler physique, the softer around the shoulders and stomach. His veins can pop out and his muscles can flex more, then studied his fingerprints. Even every little ingrown hair and took a ton of image of inside of and the space between his fingers and his fingernails smaller. The 3D model used to create the Hulk's body was based on Long Island bodybuilder and male stripper Steve Rom, while Ruffalo's face served as the model for the Hulk's facial features. To create a Hulk's voice, it having human voice and lowering in pitch. To create a Hulk's roars and growls, it having human voice, lowering in the pitch and mixing with any animal's roars and growls. Christopher Boyes explained, "Finally I thought, I just have to work with human voices. I just started playing combinations and I would give them 10 to 15 variations of roars. And Joss listened to them and came back and said, I like this one, and I went back and I looked at the ingredients of what was in that one. Turned out to be Mark Ruffalo. Some Lou Ferrigno and a little bit of me and 2 people from New Zealand." To produce the Hulk's voice, Ruffalo's voice was combined with those of Lou Ferrigno and others. However, Ruffalo provided the Hulk's soul-speaking line, "Puny God," himself. Avengers: Age of Ultron is a 2015 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superhero team The Avengers. Produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It is the sequel to The Avengers, 2012, and the 11th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. Written and directed by Joss Whedon. To prepare for the role, Ruffalo worked with motion capture performer Andy Serkis's The Imaginarium. He stated that his character had grown since the previous film and was a bit more complex. Ruffalo explained that a confrontation is brewing between Banner and the Hulk, saying, "There's a very cool thing happening. Hulk is as afraid of Banner as Banner is afraid of Hulk. And they have got to come to peace somehow with each other." While filming in London, Ruffalo said that Whedon still had not given him any of the Hulk's lines. Whedon later explained that he writes the Hulk's dialogue spontaneously, saying, "What makes the Hulk so hard to write is that you're pretending he's a werewolf when he's a superhero. The Hulk has a couple of scars that are straight from the source. To help control the bulky giant's muscles and flesh for this film." Character technical directors Sean Cummer and Abs Jaromi created a completely new muscle system. In the previous film, we had to do corrections to keep Hulk on model. But the new system kept him more on model. For example, if he put his shoulder through a range of motions, it kept the shoulder area from collapsing. We could still correct anything that penetrated and adjust the jiggle to taste, but it made us 6 times more efficient. While character technical directors rebuilt Hulk's muscle system, Lana Lan, the lead face modeler, re-sculpted Hulk's face to more closely resemble actor Mark Ruffalo. "We did some nips and tucks and trimmed him up a bit to make him more rugged and handsome," Mark says. "His eyebrows, his eyes, his facial tics. The actor has original head movements. His walk is extravagant. But we couldn't bend metal plates when he's on the ground. We started from motion capture," Mark explains. "When he starts to Hulk out, we have to go keyframe. For his facial performance, we had a facial camera that we could use when needed. But a lot of what you see is keyframe animation. We had to go way beyond what a human could do to get that comic book level of expression. His eyes have irises that move. Nothing stretches. He has weird dials in his cheeks. His upper body and scapula is made of metal parts that move like muscles." The lead face modeler re-sculpted Hulk's face to more closely resemble actor Mark Ruffalo, but more rugged and handsome. "His eyes have irises that move. Nothing stretches. He has weird dials in his cheeks. It put muscles inside and skin simulations on top. Muscles affect volumes." To produce the Hulk's voice, Ruffalo's voice was combined with those of Lou Ferrigno to create a Hulk's roars and growls, it having human voice, lowering in the pitch and mixing with any animal's roars and growls. Thor: Ragnarok is a 2017 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character Thor, produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It is the sequel to Thor, 2011, and Thor: The Dark World, 2013, and is the 17th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. The film was directed by Taika Waititi. In the 2 years since the film Avengers: Age of Ultron, 2015, he has become a successful and popular gladiator on Sakaar and has suppressed the Bannercide during those years. He is forming the vocabulary of a toddler, with the level of Hulk's speech being a big conversation between Waititi and Marvel since it was taking into account future appearances for the character. Ragnarok begins an arc for the character that continues in the films Avengers: Infinity War, 2018, and Avengers: Endgame, 2019. Ruffalo felt Hulk had a swagger in the film and was much more of a character than the Green Rage Machine seen in the Avengers films. Waititi provided additional motion capture for the Hulk after Ruffalo had completed his scenes. To help create the Hulk, a person on set was covered in green body paint and would replicate the intended motions of the character to aid the visual effect artists. Additionally, stunt actor Paul Lowe, who is under 5 feet (1.52 meters) tall, stood in for Hemsworth during some of his interactions with the Hulk so that the Hulk's stuntman would be proportionally correct. Just as each director has a vision for the film he wants to make, it seems like Hulk also falls into the category of never using the same Hulk twice. So previously we've seen subtle changes such as hair and color changes, and slight facial features updates. This time we take a pretty big step in the evolution of Hulk. Ryan Meinerding, head of visual development at Marvel, had a very specific look and direction he wanted us to take Hulk. Gone was the excessive brow ridge and sunken eyes, long upper lip and soft jaw. Instead we had sharp and streamlined features, a chiseled jaw and forehead, a longer nose reducing the gap between nose and upper lip, adjusted eyes and a brand new haircut. His skin color was also amped back up to a more saturated green. There was a specific direction to make sure Hulk seemed intelligent and more in line with what you would expect from a superhero. And our modeling supervisor Lenny Lee scrutinized the smaller details to create a Hulk like we've never seen before. We started with a Medusa capture of Mark Ruffalo, capturing a wide range of expressions. From there our modeling team would choose select expressions which were then processed, cleaned, and folded into our proprietary Fez facial animation rigs. Mark's in-shot performance was captured using a head-mounted camera, HMC, with dots applied to his face. To create a Hulk's voice, it having human voice and lowering in pitch. But Hulk has a Bruce Banner's voice in deeper tone and auto-tuned sound. To create a Hulk's roars and growls, it having human voice, lowering in the pitch and mixing with any animal's roars and growls. Lou Ferrigno initially voiced Hulk, but Mark Ruffalo voiced Hulk. Avengers: Infinity War is a 2018 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superhero team The Avengers. Produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It is the sequel to The Avengers, 2012, and Avengers: Age of Ultron, 2015, and the 19th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. Directed by Anthony and Joe Russo. The Hulk only appears briefly at the beginning of Infinity War, with Bruce Banner spends the film trying to reintegrate with the Avengers and impress upon everybody how dangerous Thanos is. Joe Russo felt the Hulk refusing to appear for much of the film was only partially because he was scared, but also because he realizes that Banner only wants Hulk for fighting. I think he's had enough of saving Banner's ass. Russo added that this was really reflective of the journey from Ragnarok, where these two characters are constantly in conflict with each other over control. Banner's appearance in the film continues a story arc for the character that was established in Thor: Ragnarok and concludes in Avengers: Endgame, 2019. With the difference between Hulk and Banner starting to blur a little bit. Ruffalo described Hulk in Infinity War as having the mental capacity of a 5-year-old. Mark Ruffalo voiced Hulk. To create a Hulk's voice, it having human voice and lowering in pitch. To create a Hulk's roars and growls, it having human voice, lowering in the pitch and mixing with any animal's roars and growls. Avengers: Endgame is a 2019 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superhero team The Avengers. Produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It is the direct sequel to Avengers: Infinity War, 2018, and the 22nd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. Directed by Anthony and Joe Russo. Banner balances his two sides with gamma experimentation in this film, enabling him to combine his intelligence with the Hulk's strength and physical stature based on his Professor Hulk comic book identity. Compared to other heroes who were demotivated by their loss to Thanos, Banner is the only character to remain hopeful, according to Anthony Russo. Banner is the sole character who is actually forging into a bright new future, trying to build something totally new and find something completely new. Banner is the one who is most heroic in a sense that he maintains his will to keep trying. This concludes a character arc that was established in Thor: Ragnarok, 2017, and continued in Avengers: Infinity War, 2018. In between 2018 and 2023, Banner undergoes gamma experimentation to balance his two sides in a remote beach house lab located in Mexico built by Stark G. By 2023, he is now permanently in the body of the Hulk, but with the mind and voice of Banner. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law is an American television miniseries created by Jessica Gao for the streaming service Disney+, based on Marvel Comics featuring the character She-Hulk. It is the 8th television series in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, produced by Marvel Studios, sharing continuity with the films of the franchise. An Avenger, genius scientist, and Walter's cousin who, because of exposure to gamma radiation, typically transforms into a monster when enraged or agitated, but has since managed to balance his two sides with gamma experimentation, enabling him to combine his intelligence with the Hulk's strength and physical stature. Living off the grid in Mexico, Banner decides to train Walters to become a superhero, starting from a predisposed idea that her experience is going to be exactly the same as his, ultimately realizing that her experience is different, physically, literally, and mentally because of how they have operated differently in the world as men and women. Koiro enjoyed seeing Banner get completely thrown off his game in teaching Walters and realizing she is able to also teach him. With Ruffalo adding, Banner is excited to have another person now who can relate to being a Hulk. Mark Ruffalo, who portrayed Bruce Banner, Hulk in the MCU films, said in November 2019 that he planned to meet with Feige about making an appearance in the series. In March 2020, Ruffalo confirmed that he was in talks to reprise his role in the series. Mark Ruffalo voiced Hulk, but Hulk has a Bruce Banner's voice. To create a Hulk's roars and growls, it having scream rougher human voice and combining with Lion's roars and growls sound.